Hey guys, thank you for joining me again today. We got a request quite some time ago actually on the process of an emotional support animal. So I do apologize that it took so long. Usually when you guys send me requests, I try to bump them up in my schedule, but I wanted to wait until I had one more trip with Coco as an ESA in March, but I ended up driving, not flying. So I just decided to go ahead and just put this up before it got too much later. And I am going to put in the description bar more of the terms as far as therapy dog, service dog, emotional support animal, and the difference between each one, as well as a couple of links to some organizations that supply educational information and legal information on ESAs and service dogs, and what each one is and what each one isn't. So I'm not going to really cover it in talking on the video because it's going to be long anyway. But if you're interested, definitely check out those links down below. So I guess the first thing I'm going to say is kind of what is an emotional support animal. So I'm getting this off of servicedogcentral.org, and this is their definition of an emotional support animal. An emotional support animal is a dog or other common domestic animal that provides therapeutic support to a disabled or elderly owner through companionship, non-judgmental, positive regard, affection, and a focus in life. If a doctor determines that a patient with a disabling mental illness would benefit from the companionship of an emotional support animal, the doctor writes letters supporting a request by the patient to keep the ESA in no pet housing or to travel with an ESA in the cabin of an aircraft. This is kind of like the more important part. Emotional support animals are not task trained like service dogs are. In fact, little training at all is required so long as the animal is reasonably well behaved by pet standards. This means the animal is fully toilet trained and has no bad habits that would disturb neighbors, such as frequent or lengthy episodes of barking. The animal should not pose a danger to other tenants or to workmen. But there is no requirement for fancy healing or mitigating tasks, since emotional support animals are not generally taken anywhere pets would not ordinarily go without permission, the exception being in the cabin of an aircraft and in no pet housing. So that's the definition for an emotional support animal, and there is a definite difference between emotional support animals and service dogs, and I will link all that information down below. So she, Zoe's mom, I don't know if she goes by Elizabeth or if she goes by Lizzie, but she requested some information, as well as another young lady. So I thought I would just kind of talk about some tips and kind of what I went through and just kind of share that with you guys if you're interested. So when they talk about the letter that the doctor writes for you, it's not a letter, it's not paperwork, with my air quotes, it's not paperwork for the animal itself. It's a letter of prescription for the individual person. So I could use Coco as an emotional support animal because she's so well behaved is why I picked her. But I could also use Bam Bam, or I could use my betta fish, or I could use a guinea pig. I could use any animal I want as long as the animal is non-disruptive, because the animal itself does not go through any specialized training. So it really doesn't matter as long as the animal is well behaved. It's really the person the letter is for, not the animal. It mentioned that the only place that ESAs are allowed to go in public are in the cabin of an airplane, so therefore also the airport, because you're going to be waiting in the gate area, as well as in no pet housing. That's it. They don't have public access rights. You're not allowed to take them to the mall. You're not allowed to take them into a restaurant. There's a difference. There's a difference between a service dog and an emotional support animal. One main thing being public access and task training. You do need to be under the care of a mental health professional. I think primary care physicians can write the letter too, but it's more ideal that your mental health professional writes the letter, because you're technically supposed to be in treatment for a mental condition, psychiatric condition. My tip for getting your therapist or a psychiatrist to write the letter is to bring all the information to them. They may not be familiar with what an ESA is or how it's beneficial. If you do all the legwork and can present them studies and findings and papers in the different organizations that supply information. Now, when I say organization, I mean not those .com where you have to go buy a vest and they send you a certificate, not those. An actual organization that supplies information for people with service dogs and emotional support animals. And I'll link some of those down for you guys. You do need to be honest with your therapist and discuss the pros and cons and be open to them not wanting to do it. Because I will say, if you have social anxiety or agoraphobia, things like that, where dealing with people or in the public makes you nervous or have panic attacks, think about having a dog in an airport. That's going to attract a lot of attention. So one of your conditions is social anxiety and people staring at you or people coming up to you and talking to you. People will stare at you. People will come up and ask you about your dog. People will want to pet your dog. So just be honest about that. It's not to say that you can't have an emotional support animal or a psychiatric service dog with a psychiatric condition like anxiety, but you just need to be really honest with your therapist or your psychiatrist so they can kind of give you exposure behavior or cognitive behavior steps to work through that. Now, what you may face is that a doctor, once you present all like the benefits and the pros and cons, you still may face some apprehension with the doctor writing a letter because they've never met your dog. They don't know anything about your dog. They don't know if your dog is healthy. They don't know if your dog is aggressive. So what I recommend is that you get a health certificate from your vet. It doesn't have to be like the really fancy one that you get like from the USDA when you're traveling, but just something where they write up that your pet is free from internal and external parasites, that they are current on all vaccines, that they've done an overall health check and found the dog in good health, something like that. I also recommend that you get something from a trainer. Now, ideally, I'm going to be talking specifically about dogs, but remember, you can use any domesticated animal that's well behaved for an emotional support animal. But I'm going to be talking specifically about dogs. Ideally, if you've picked a dog that you would like to use as your emotional support animal, you've picked a dog that is well behaved and has hopefully gone through at least basic obedience. So you should hopefully have some relationship with a trainer, with a dog trainer in your area. You can have that trainer write you a temperament evaluation where they'll kind of like go through different things, expose your dogs to different sounds and startle them, and have different people come in with like different outfits and hats and funny glasses and open umbrellas at them and kind of see how they react to it. So you're basically wanting a temperament evaluation to show that your dog is non-reactive and not aggressive and is well socialized. It's also helpful if you've gone through basic obedience, just so you have some control over your dog. And a lot of people will do the Canine Good Citizens test as well. It just shows that your dog has really good manners, is not problematic. In addition to all of that, which isn't required, again, the emotional support animals don't have any required specialized training, but it's good if you're trying to tell your doctor, I'm trying to take this dog on a plane thousands of feet in the air and it's going to be under my control. My dog is well behaved. If you've got a veterinarian and a trainer that you've worked with saying, yes, this dog is trained, basic obedience, canine good citizen, housebroken, temperament evaluated, all that, health cleared, that's just going to be easier for the doctor to say, okay, I'll write the letter. If they don't know anything about your dog, they may even want to meet your dog. That's also a possibility. So just be ready for that. Then you also want to have any legal information. So what an emotional support animal is, what it does, what it doesn't do, and where they're allowed to go and where they're not allowed to go. You want to have all that information ready so you can show that to your doctor so they have kind of a starting point to go from. So now let's say you've done that, you're in therapy, your doctor's agreed to add it to your treatment, it's not going to be harmful if you've got anxiety, and you've already given them the health check from the vet, the temperament evaluation from the trainer, you've given them all the legal stuff, and now they're on board. Like they're okay, let's add this to your treatment plan, I'll write you the letter. I recommend working with a doctor. Give them plenty of time. Doctors are notorious for being busy and having a lot of workload. And if you're going out of town like tomorrow and you ask them to write the letter, you are not going to get that letter. You're probably not going to get that letter. Give them a month. I would say like a month to get the letter. On the airline website, they'll often have a template, like a model of what needs to be included. It needs to be on letterhead, it has to be dated and signed, include the license number and the state they're supposed to be practicing out of, and then all the little details in the letter, and I'll link that too. Take a copy of that to your doctor when you want them to write the letter, so they have something to go on. What you don't want to have happen is that you've been waiting and waiting, and you finally get the letter back from them and there's something missing and you have to leave like that next day. You want to give them enough time to write the letter, and then if something needs to be changed or added to it, that they have time to make the adjustments for it. From there, once you have your letter and you've checked it over that everything's right, make a copy of it. Don't let that one be the only copy you have. Make a copy of it, put it somewhere safe. I also recommend making an electronic file of it. So if you're going to take a picture of it, if you're going to scan it, but send it to yourself in an email, have it on your computer, have it on your phone. So if something happens at your destination, you can print it off. If you lose it, you've got multiple copies of it, because you don't want to have to go back to your doctor and say, hey, I lost it. Can you write it? I think that was it. I think that was everything. We talked about what an emotional support animal is and what it does, what it doesn't do, how it's different from a service dog, where they're allowed to be, that they don't have public access rights, and then kind of the process of going about it. You want to make sure that you're under the treatment of a mental health professional, that you've had that conversation with them about the pros and the cons, and that you're really honest about it, and that you give them all the information that they need ahead of time, information about it, pros and cons, the vet letter, the trainer letter, legal stuff, and then give them plenty of time to write it. And then also make sure you give them a template of what the airline requires. Also for no pet housing. I don't live in no pet housing, so I'm not sure what the letter is with that, but I'll link it if I can find it. But I know the airlines are pretty much all the same. And then give them plenty of time, and then check it and make a copy so you don't lose it. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I do thank Zoe's mom for requesting this video. I have one more video I'm going to film today and get that up for you guys, and then I'm just going to be scheduling them. And I should be almost caught up with videos. I got really behind when I was sick before, and I went to Clicker Expo, and I'm so behind on videos. Again, send me your requests. When you guys send me requests, I try to get them up into the schedule sooner. These two videos, this ESA video and the next video I'm going to do, the puppy checklist, I got backlogged with because I kept adding more information to it. So I hope that was helpful. Leave any comments down below. Thank you for watching. Bye. Say bye, Coco. Ooh, say bye.